is Jimmy, and I'm a master's student in finance at the University of Luxembourg. And I'm honored to be here today. And for that matter, I would also like to thank Anthony, my man, for organizing this event. And so for the next and last panel insight of the day, we will bring you 3 individuals and firms that are shaping the payment and the banking industry. So for the first, we have a seasoned finance director from one of the leading global payment companies in the world, and with its headquarters in Europe. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Steve Oster to the stage, please. He's the Senior Finance Director in Europe of PayPal. Next, we have someone also really important, and in fact, he's changing the financial services industry since 1999, and he's the founder of DigiCash, later acquired by Payconic. And afterwards, he's also the co-founder of Finologee, one of the leading Fintech and RegTech players in Luxembourg. And in fact, he's the CEO and co-founder of Finologee. And for that matter, I would also welcome our event supporter, Raoul Mulheims, to the stage, please. And now for our third panelist, it's one of the second Fintech unicorn from Italy. And in fact, they have more than 300 bright, innovative, and smart professionals from more than 15 different countries. And in fact, he is the Chief Financial Officer and the co-founder of the Fintech unicorn, Satispay. Please, come to the stage, Samuele Pinta. And now, on the moderator side, she's the recruitment manager at one of the award-winning recruitment and selection boutique. And in fact, she's the recruitment manager of 2 recruitment advisory. And please, let me invite Sonia Koulikoff to the stage as well. Yeah. And for our second moderator, in fact, we have the team leader in IT innovation and architecture at Spuerkees. And in fact, he's the first Luxembourger to be crowned Microsoft MVP. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Steve Melan to the stage.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for the kind introduction. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well comfortable for the last panel of the day. So we'll be talking today about how technology has entirely reshaped the banking system, the new kind of job that have arisen, and how can you guys get these jobs. My name is Sonia. I work for a DO recruitment advisor, a boutique recruitment firm in Luxembourg. And as a recruiter, our job is actually to get these jobs. I'll be moderating today together with Steve, who's working for one big bank in Luxembourg and who's actually helping them in their transformation from an IT perspective. Steve, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sonia. So I've started actually in 2005 in the banking industry, really a boring situation at that time. I was a coder, and today coding is still needed. And then afterwards, when the first fintechs arrived, it was very disruptive. So everybody was looking at the fintech companies, and the banks would also like to involve fast and so on. And so the banking became very interesting, attractive. And so today I can just recommend you work in fintechs, work in banking industry, work in financial services. First of all, who are coders over here? Who are really technical guys? Not a few. Financial learning? Okay, yeah, others. So best for you would be also learn IT. Then you have best of both worlds. So who of you is actually using a smartphone today? Are there people not using a smartphone today? No. Okay, PayPal, I think most of you are using PayPal today. So, perfect guy here on stage. Satispay, who is using Satispay? Well, already cool, nice, perfect. And account aggregation. Do you still remember the time when you have a banking account for that app, a banking app for that bank, and so on? With Finologee, you can have both in one app. So today, probably you're using their product as well. So thank you for our speakers today on stage, but for me, the stage is you. We are the recruiters. You are really on the stage. It's like American Got Talent, but you are on the stage and we are in the audience. So thank you also, where is Anthony, for creating this big event and also finding people for this sector as well. So, Raoul, first question goes to you. So, dear Raoul, you have been pioneering in the Luxembourg Fintech and financial services since 1999. Wow. You're not looking that old. You and your co-founders also have been an instrumental and in inception of the Luxembourgish House of Fintech. Wow, great achievement as well. Please share with us how you witnessed the IT space evolving.
It's a very broad question, so it's going to take like hours and hours to explain. Wake up, so, well, after lunch. No, just kidding. It's technically not since 1999 I have been in financial services. So I was at university till the year 2000, actually. So I started during my last year at university. Also, my first digital company was a digital agency, also starting with maybe the easiest thing to do is to create websites for other people at the very beginning, despite having had quite a lot of ideas about how we could create revolutions in different areas and so on. And it was a little bit like really the early stages of the internet. So there were quite a few opportunities, and then in the year 2001, 2002, there was the first internet bubble actually that exploded. So that made things a little bit harder. So when asking the question about how do you see the evolution of IT, well, it started maybe really to change back in 1994, 1995 with the with the internet actually being created and creating also the opportunity to access information worldwide, to exchange information and so on. And as a student, I was also part of a project that you would call today a social network. So at the time, we called it a chat platform with chat rooms and so on. And that grew into something that was pretty good success in Luxembourg also, with almost 60,000, 70,000 users in the year 2000, 2001. And we thought, as the founders of this platform, okay, let's maybe use this as a springboard, leverage this knowledge, leverage also how we work together, and the joint initiative that we created, and built a company out of this. And this was really the starting point. And then over the years, it grew into different businesses, and I was a little bit lucky on the side also, to be with the right team always. So I'm not a coder actually. I got a law degree, so it's completely different in this sense. So we built the different platforms where we're still running some of these today. So SMS routing, clearing, and payments, and then later on the DigiCash, today Payconic platform on, and then in 2017 Finologee. So the two changes I could speak of that happened there would really be 1995, the starting point of the internet. So that changed quite a lot of things in IT, and then potentially, and of course I'm pleading my own cause here, starting in the year 2012, 13, 14, when we started to talk about fintech. So since this is the overarching topic that we're having for this conference today, I'd say also that's really the beginning of an adventure that we're still not at the end today. So there could be two milestones to stress out, among many others.
Thank you, Raoul.
Thank you so much, Raoul. We all know how successful your path has been, so well done to you and your partners. Talking about a successful company, I'm looking at you now, Samuele. You're CFO and co-founder of Satispay, that has recently become a unicorn. So what could you tell us about Satispay? It was not originally created in Luxembourg, so why Luxembourg?
Well, basically Satispay is an idea, an intuition that we had 8-9 years ago already, when we started looking at the payment ecosystem, and we realized that there was something wrong. Lot of cash for many different reasons, depending on the country, and then the credit card networks that, again, for one reason or another, weren't that spread everywhere. Also with some huge pushback from merchants, retailers, and so on. So we wanted to look a little bit more into it. And what we discovered is that actually there was space for a big revolution in the retail payment. So credit card I think the first credit card was issued in 1960, 60 years ago. And that brought the system to become really inefficient in those 60 days, because in 1960 there was not digital technology at all, but still these 16 numbers on the card are the ones that are driving the payment. And if you spend some time looking at how credit card works, you quickly understand why there's something is not working, why those payments are so expensive, because actually everything is built on top of something which is not digital. And I think you, with DigiCash, you had similar thoughts. And 2013-14, huge innovation in the payment, huge innovation in the digital sector, people behavior changing and so on, and also regulators starting giving something more to provide innovation with new directive and so on, because the regulators know all this kind of stuff and they want to create competition in order for the financial ecosystem to grow. And so we had this intuition and we said, okay, let's try to build something from scratch, as if we need to turn from cash to something digital, white paper. So this was the initial idea, and now we are a unicorn, and the idea is still the same. So we are providing a payment service which is not based on the typical and inefficient networks, but it's based on more modern and harmonized way of exchanging money. You need to think about the fact that exchanging money is like exchanging a WhatsApp message, an email. It's just an exchange of bits and bytes. There are some other things on the top because there are the anti-money laundering checks, all this kind of stuff, but it's just an exchange of bits and bytes, so should be efficient. So this was the idea. This is what brought us to be the company that we are right now. And why Luxembourg? I'm Italian. Part of the team is, the headquarters is in Italy. We have quite a huge chunk of the team also here in Luxembourg. The point is that we want to be a European company, and Luxembourg is the perfect place in order to provide European services. So we came here years ago in 2-3 days, thanks to the LHoFT and other people. We managed to meet everybody here, and he said, okay, this is really the place in which we can set up our shop in order to provide services all over Europe.
So Luxembourg is not only a small country in the middle of Europe, it is also kind of an incubator for the future.
That's true. You need to live it. You need to step in and see what's going on, because actually from the outside, yeah, you can imagine that. But when you are in and you talk with people, really you can feel the fact that we are all here in order to try to provide this kind of innovation in the financial sector.
Okay. And we also have big organizations that have chosen Luxembourg to locate. Steve is your finance director for PayPal Europe. Sorry, I know that you have a plane to catch. Are we good with the timing? Or
yes.
Just yell when you have to, like, to leave. So tell us, how is it to work at PayPal Luxembourg? What keeps you going?
Yeah, first I would like to really thanks for the invite, and I would like to say hello to everyone. So just to answer to your question, as regard to PayPal, really what's exciting about our company is that we are really providing some value added to the two sides of our network. So we have a customer, obviously, like you and me, but we have also the merchant, and really one of our value is to link the two and to bring product that brings really value to both sides of the network. And over the last couple of years, we have developed all those products, having that in mind, how we satisfy our customer, but also our merchant. And we have really almost two different functions where we will focus on the product for our merchant, where we can give, for example, working capital capabilities, risk analytics, marketing analytics, So really focusing on what value they will extrapolate from our service. And on the other side is really the customer, like, as I said, you and me. You will be, I guess, familiar with the PayPal button when you pay on a website, but we offer across Europe a variety of products such as crypto. So today you can buy in the UK, for example, cryptocurrency, buy, hold, and eventually sell them. We have also a buy now, pay later functionality across different geography in Europe. And I guess what I want to bring this back to Luxembourg, it's very important because at the end of the day, we're able to do that with the banking license we have. So today, believe it or not, but PayPal is a bank. We are a credit institution in Luxembourg since 2007, I believe. And in the previous panel, we heard a lot about regulation, how important it is. And for us, it's very important also that we are a bank because at the end of the day, we deliver regulated services, regulated product. And that's very important to consider that when you launch a financial services or financial product. And being in Luxembourg and being in the heart of Europe, we can then passport those products. And if I give a simple example, we launched a couple of months ago a credit initiative, buy now, pay later in Italy. Well, because we have this license from Luxembourg, we don't need to go and ask authorization from all the different regulators in Europe to be able to distribute our product in those countries. So once we have the authorization from the Luxembourg authority, the CSSF, then we passport and we're able to distribute our franchise across Europe. So we were able to launch our product in Italy without going through the burden of asking again authorization.
Thank you, Steve. So we go now back to Raoul. So we have been shaping the fintech landscape for a while. Which skills do you believe students today should acquire to compete in the current market?
Well, again, it's a broad question. I believe the previous panel also insisted quite a lot on curiosity. I'm convinced that this is indeed something you need to keep, even though there might come some moments where you have frustration and where others, be it managers, be it co-workers, try to kind of slow you down with being curious. So keep it. It's not always to avoid showing off that you're too curious, because that could also then lead to some friction, let's say, but remaining curious at heart or really all over your professional career is something that is very deeply, I would say, anchored in kind of a recipe to success, I believe. So it's also something that leads me to maybe to a second element here, which is you should be, especially when aiming for the tech part of things, not having a technical background, you should be curious about how things work. So not only be an avid user of social networks, but try to create the content yourself. Okay, that's pretty obvious. No, but on the other side also, for instance, thinking about, this is a recommendation I give to people that keep asking me, okay, how can I enter a tech job even though not having, or a tech company not having a technical background or an engineering degree and so on? What could be the ingredients is? Advice is pretty simple. Just build your own website for once. Start out with this one. It's become pretty easy today. So you just use tools like Wix or competitors and so on, and then you discover a little bit how things are done there. And that leads you also then to the way of thinking about how do you create interfaces. And even though you have a degree in finance, in law, in whatever non-technical area, you start understanding at least a little bit how things are made in this area and what the challenges are. And this makes you very powerful also when discussing with product people, but also discussing with the tech people. So, and there you have an edge. You can stand out of the crowd in this sense also, because you start to understand how things work, even though not being at the lowest layer of, let's say, the engineering of the coding of things, being an avid user, but it gives you a good springboard, a good starting point there. The third advice maybe I could share is to you should be an expert in at least one domain. Let me put this from a more negative side. If you're just surfing at the surface, it will be way more complicated actually achieving both goals but also bringing value to companies and teams, because you're as the French call it, généraliste. Sometimes important, but if you don't have this expertise, the knowledge in at least one domain, where you can also draw your reputation, your being recognized by others actually from, and even if it might not be the exact area that you're working in, it gives you this credibility in a context, in a team. You say, okay, maybe he's not the expert here, or he or she, but he or she has proven to be the expert in something else. And then you can also do the analogies. You can take the knowledge from one context and put it into another one. In other words, what I would recommend is not to, if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, don't do it as I did. Don't start right away, maybe. Especially if you're going into an area where expertise is required. Because the expertise, getting it over the first years with your job is the hardest way to do it. Actually, digging 1 or 2 years into a particular domain can help a lot there, because then you can understand the mechanisms, you can understand the flows, you can understand the challenges, the pain points, everything that's related to these domains, and use it as a lever then to create and build upon this knowledge yourself and bring solutions to this. So this might be, I think, the most efficient way actually of either building a company or becoming a valuable member of teams, especially when there's a tech goal in general terms.
Thank you, Raoul. Samuele, I have a question about how do you think, or how much your creativity helped you to build the success of Satispay?
Well, people maybe tend to see creativity as, your brand identity, all this kind of stuff. And it's important, and actually in Satispay, I think we made a huge work in terms of creating our own brand, but I would like to talk about creativity in more wider sense. I think creativity is something that should be, especially for us in the fintech sector, at every stage of the product development. There's a lot, we are innovator, and there's a lot to innovate, and as said before, we are right now in the right moment to make this kind of innovation thanks to technology, new regulation, and so on. But we need to think different. So the creative thinking, the lateral thinking, in designing a new process or the way the product is going to be offered to the market. With traditional finance, usually things are done because they always been done in that way. So we as a fintech, the must-have is to find another way to offer the service in order to be closer to the needs of the consumer. And it all starts from the creativity that, again, is something that is key in every department of the company.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So guys, it's all about thinking differently, reinventing yourself, staying curious, speak tech, get a lot of, how would I say, expertise. So all of that. Thank you so much for this insight. Steve, it's back to you. We are still good on the playing side? Good. We have a lot of potential recruits in the audience. What kind of talents are you looking for at PayPal Luxembourg?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are a bank. And from that perspective, obviously, we are recruiting in all those key functions that you will find in a traditional bank, such as compliance, finance. Obviously, it's also very close to my heart. But if you think about treasury, FP&A, controllership, so we recruit in those fields, legal, Being also a kind of a fintech, we also have a information and security department that recruits significantly. So the way I would say is we recruit, or the profile we are looking at, either more traditional banker or what profile that you will find in the traditional environment. But on top of that, we have the layer of the fintech. What's very important for us is really the diversity. So we try to have a diverse employee coming from diverse background. And just to give you a flavor, we have approximately 35 different nationalities just in the Lux office. So I can tell you that when we have a lunch in the office, there's always a different team coming from different countries.
And you have like hundreds of employees.
We are 150. Yeah. In terms of seniority, I think we are looking for really, we go from internship to senior leader role. So really the door is open. We love to have intern with us because I think, we have all been intern at some point in our life. It's very important because they bring also a different perspective. From what kind of talent we are looking at, I think everybody's saying the same thing. In this panel, in the previous panel, we talk about creativity, innovation. The way I see things is that technical skill is almost granted. When you go to a job interview, at the end of the day, your technical skills are on your resume. What is not on your resume is your attitude and is what you have in your mind, you know. And that's what we are trying to understand when we interview candidates, is what kind of attitude they will have when we face adversity or when we face fast growth. And you will have heard today a lot of startup, but also in some large companies such as PayPal, where you have significant growth. What you have to consider is that when you have a double-digit growth, for example, every year, every 2 to 3 years, basically the company double its size. And what happened is that the size of the team, they don't double. I don't know for you guys, but my team didn't grow by fivefold over the last 10 years. So what's important is to have this agility and this creativity in order to evolve the process you're working on. And we are talking about product development, but you can apply that to accounting process, down to earth, you know. If you look at a financial close, it can take 10 days. With automation, with a bit of creativity, you can transform that into a 2-day process. And that's very important, that's key, and that's what we are looking at, because if you want to stay relevant in your job as a company, when you're growing very fast, it's very important to evolve and to be innovative and to be curious. It has been said, but I really stress that because for us, it's very, very important.
Raoul, now another question. So if you have the chance to take a time machine and to go back to your past when you have been young and at school, what do you have done differently? Or is there nothing that you would have done differently?
Well, yes. This is let's say, a pretty tough question. It's not broad for once. I said the two previous questions were too broad. But a tough question because, of course, there are always things that you consider having done not maybe in the best way or in the most suitable way you could imagine, and that you would have done differently. But well, it's there's maybe one thing that I really, well, as I said before, I co-created my first company when I was in the last year at university, and that also then, yeah, moving back and forth between Paris and Luxembourg was a pretty tough time and so on. So, and I said also before that we took at the time, because we were founders, where there's only one of us, one of the 4 guys that founded this company, that actually had an actual first job experience. So the others were just starting to work in their own company right away without having worked for somebody else. So this is maybe something today I would tell myself at the time, so my former self, a very long time ago, to have done differently, maybe get a first job first. But then again, and this makes it so hard, I would have missed quite a few opportunities on the other side. So you can't always say it's really this way you should have done it, because you don't, well, you can assume, you can anticipate maybe a little bit the consequences that it would have had. But it's a little bit with the butterfly, like a million years ago, if it flew in a different direction, would the world have evolved differently? Not assuming that my little career had anything to do with that, no. But so in this sense, I wouldn't have changed a substantial thing there. So maybe things also, well, a challenge is always from the entrepreneur's side, who you do the business together, who are your co-founders, who are the key people that you actually hire. And of course, you know more at a later stage. You discover also that maybe you should have done a different choice because you knew it from the start. Maybe, oh no, most of the times you didn't. Or you didn't set the rules also. This is something that is pretty important as an entrepreneur. It's a little bit, when you get married, actually, you should define also what happens over time, and then maybe, get a prenup, as they call it in English, also to make sure that if ever it didn't turn out well, then you have a framework that you can actually also then move to a next step. But this is the same in business also, to define the rules, how you get along together, and how you separate also if ever it happened in the end. So this is something that maybe with some of the over time that I would have done differently in this sense. Yeah, definitely.
One additional question. Have you started in a garage, your company? Not technically in the garage, but it was in an office under the roof of the companies of one of my co-founders, actually, where we started meeting first every Sunday to do the business plan, and then and then also we had some cellar rooms, but not a garage technically. But it's the way I think you first building and trying also to find out how you can work together if you're co-founders. This is something that is very important, and if you're aligned about at least the essential parts, the essential strategy that you would apply, then obviously it will turn out differently than you thought before, but nevertheless, having gone through this process kind of glues you together. It brings you together, and you can more easily anticipate also how the others are going to react if there's any, let's say, trouble coming up, or if there's any hardship happening, and so on. So, the garage, the proverbial garage stage, I suppose it's a very important one indeed.
Okay, thank you so much, Raoul, for this advice. So, stay super and expert in your field, but also stay human, creative. Steve, I know that we're still good on the. I'll stop asking the question. What are your biggest lessons as a finance director at PayPal Europe?
Oh, there are a lot, but I'll try to pick up only one, two, right? So, and the first one is that's one that I realized not so long ago, but at PayPal, for example, we are a value-driven company. And you start to hear that more and more, the company sharing their value. And that's a piece of advice for really the audience, is that when you're looking for a job, what's important is to first understand what are the value of the company and the mission. Because when you wake up in the morning and you're in sync with the value of the company and you completely understand what the company is trying to achieve, well, your motivation is exponential, because I wake up every morning and I'm happy to go to work, because I know at least I'm in sync with the meaning of what the company is trying to achieve. And that's, we have all different expectations, but it's very personal at the end of the day, but it's very, to make sure that you understand it correctly. And when you're and if you have the choice, obviously, because sometimes you don't have the choice and you need to find a job. But that's for me a luxury to be in that position today, because I love my job and I love my company. So as simple
And
as that.
you've been in the company for quite some time
Yeah,
already.
for more than 10 years. So that's the first advice. And the second one is around the people. Because at the end of the day, you can love your job, but you need also to, maybe love is a strong word, but at least have a certain you need to have a strong link with your colleague. And when I say colleague is your peers, is your boss. And for that, my piece of advice is try to look for organizations that are quite flat from an organization perspective. Because when you start your career, what's important is to be exposed as much as possible to senior leader, because that's where you learn. You learn by doing your job every day, but you learn also by people having a lot of experience, because they'll share their experience, they'll share their problem. Usually when you face a problem, this person with 10 or 20 years experience, this person had this problem 20 times and maybe struggled to resolve this problem 10 times. So you're saving a lot of your time, and you're gaining your growth as a professional will be much faster. And that's what I like about the startup mode, you know, because usually all those structures are very flat. And if some large company, you have also this structure. Some large company try to keep this flat organization. It's not easy, huh? Because the more you grow, the more you go into complex process. And we talk a lot about agility, putting agile process in place. So that's really something that, for me, at least, is close to my heart, and that's something I'm looking at because I've been exposed to that for the last 10 years, and that's also how I try to push my team, you know, to not talk only to me, but to talk to our N+2, N+3, and we have this opportunity. So we are blessed for that. So that's really my piece of advice for the day.
Thank you so much, Thibaut. Samuel, maybe a piece of advice also for future entrepreneurs in the audience?
Well, we already talk about many of the characteristics that are needed, and we are looking for the fintech environment, and for sure these are also the characteristics of an entrepreneur and a founder. And being an entrepreneur might be tough. There's high and low and so on, but I think one of the most important things is to have the right people around you since the beginning, because the company is made of the people that is with you, and the soon you learn that this is key for your growth, because we are all here because we dreamed big at the beginning, and we were thinking about creating something big, and something big requires people, and you also need to learn from the people that you are bringing on board and so on. And also the people that you bring on board, they are gonna be on the same path with you, so they are also gonna feel high and low, and you need to create a situation for which they really feel to be part of your journey. And I think one of the most interesting things that we have done, and we decided to do since the beginning, was to create an environment in which people that are working with us are really with us, not only because we are sharing the same ambition, same mission and so on, but also because we are part of the same company. So we have put in place a stock option plan since the beginning. And I think this was really one of the key, especially when you are in an early stage and you don't have too much money to pay people. And so you have the stock option. And for people that understand the value of the stock option, this is great. And I think so far we give away around 10% of our company to employee. And you know, we are
and you're a unicorn.
Unicorn, so it's easy to make the counting of how much value is in the end of our employee. So we share everything, and we want to share everything. If we want all to aim in that direction.
Thank you. So we are almost at the end of our session. So I would like to recap probably some of the day's takeouts. So banking is no longer boring. Finance is no longer boring. And I have something that I would like to quote from Serge from this morning. There are actually 3,600 IT people missing in Luxembourg. So what do you think, how we can change that, or where can we find those talents? Everybody, you're all free to talk.
Well, as said before, I think Luxembourg is great. There's a lot of energy, and I'm enjoying this conversation here. And it's incredible because we didn't talk each other before this call, but it seems that we are all aligned and we were all prepared to say the same things, but we just met here on the stage. Because actually it's the environment here, and from outside Luxembourg sometimes it's a little bit difficult to understand what actually is Luxembourg. So I think that for us as entrepreneurs, spend our time in order to explain what is Luxembourg is very important. Organization like the LHoFT, we need the people outside Luxembourg to know what we can give here. So yeah, let's keep doing this kind of stuff because we really need that. And the reality is that usually when people decide to move to Luxembourg, then they tend to stay because they love it. It's just like we need to trigger that in the mind of the people in order to bring them here.
And Luxembourg people are very open. So we speak a lot of languages, very multicultural, and
you never know
who you will meet, you just go around the corner and you meet someone.
But it's always an interesting conversation. Exactly. Always. Yeah.
Raoul?
I think there's several recipes, I would again say, that could apply, but that's really the political speech, so I'm going to make it very quick. I think there's an organic growth. We need proper IT degrees and proper IT teaching also at university, at different schools and so on. There's some dynamics in there, so there's some things happening, but this could be further pushed. Then, of course, the external growth, attracting additional talent to Luxembourg, which makes it hard for maybe what we see, but that's many companies actually that make the same statement there. It's easy to hire people that come over with their families and they're going to stay. It's sometimes harder, more complicated to hire people that are, especially if they come from big cities, because you're getting into the province. So to a certain extent, being a native Luxembourger, I'm allowed to say so. No, I keep this at liberty to say so. It's something different. There's also been many changes over the last 20, 30 years, of course, and we've grown a little bit bigger and so on, but it's not the same as the big city you could be used to, of course. Then again, it depends, of course, on what you're looking for. So it's always a very subjective thing. Then I think we also have to think about, and then again it's political, about other ways of maybe not having people physically over here in Luxembourg and encouraging more, let's say, more flexible setups also. Today there's a huge challenge with remote working, especially if people stay abroad, and if you want to have the people on your payroll, so actually pay them as a company, also not having a contractor or an employee of another company in another country, that works pretty well and easily. But if you want to hire the people and have them on your own payroll, it's really complicated if they don't stay in or near Luxembourg. So, of course, that's a huge challenge also for the government, because other countries are not very eager to go into that direction. So convincing France, Germany, Belgium also to be more flexible there is more complicated, of course. But I'm sure that we will find people. So I think a mix between these three elements and making the right decision, and really not only talking about it, but also put this into practice and with concrete actions and so on. So both by public authorities, but also with the companies that we are from different backgrounds, then we can come to to solutions that actually meet the requirements, adapt to the expectations there.
Thank you, Raoul. So, Anthony, your last speech. Thank you for the event. Thank you for organizing. And last word is yours.
Yes, so it's not the very last part of the event. We are going to host 4 more presentations from 3:10 until 4:30, where Samuele is going to give an inside look about how they became a fintech unicorn. But I want to thank I want to thank first of all Steve Oster for making it, and a big applause for Steve, please. And then I want to please give a big round of applause to our 2 main sponsors of the day, Satispay and Finologee, please. Thank you, gentlemen. Please take the opportunity to discuss with their teams for the next 30 minutes, and then I invite you to come back to have a chat with Ms. Severin Moka, who's the Managing Director, HR Managing Director of PwC. Thank you very much.
Thank you.